depending on your location. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you. Now, I'm sure when you saw the flyer, you expected someone who had hair. Apparently, I'd cut my hair. The wig was just a cover up, but that's just fine by the way. You're welcome to EFeMS Masterclass. I'm Celestina. From basic school to high school to university, anytime a teacher walked into class, he or she had a tall list of rules and regulations for his or her class. Don't do this in my class, don't do this in my class, don't do this in my class. Now, this 30 minutes conversation, there are also some guidelines for our virtual learning today. And that's what it's been listed here. The very first is that English is our basic lingua for today's conversation. The language you are going to use is English. However, myself, I noticed that sometimes when I want to say certain things, I can better explain it in my mother tongue than in English. So if you have the opportunity to be on the floor and you feel like you want to express yourself in your mother tongue, feel free to do that when necessary. And when speaking, speak in the first person. I, me. Don't say we, you, because we are all sharing our experiences. If you personalize it, we can be able to better understand and better relate. So when you're speaking, kindly speak in the first person. We are here to have a conversation and draw insights from one another. It would be very good that you put down a few things. So either a mobile phone, a book, a pen, iPad, whatever jotting material that you have, grab it for today's conversation. A glass of water, juice, coffee, wine, which one works for you? Try as much as possible. I have water here, but before this, I took a sauna. So I'm pretty much good. But in the middle of the conversation too, so grab something that's going to make you relaxed. The last but one is have fun and enjoy yourself on this afternoon's conversation. Ensure that you have a lot of fun. There's one guideline which I didn't put on the slide, and it's saying that 15 minutes in between this conversation, I would pause so that 5 of us on the call will just give us a word or a phrase to express how they are feeling. It's a virtual conversation, and I don't want to be the only person speaking. So 15 minutes in between this call, I will just unmute, you turn on your video, and then, or you tell us how you are feeling as at 15 minutes into the conversation. So these are a few guidelines for this afternoon's conversation. And at the end of this session, what should you be able to do? You should be able to, there are 4 things we seek to achieve at the end of this session. You should be able to have knowledge with overcoming stage fright and public speaking. And when we delve deeper into my slides, one of the things I made mention of is stage fright or overcoming the fear of public speaking is a journey. It's not a one-day conversation. So we are just going to have knowledge about how to overcome it. And then as time goes on, when we use this knowledge, we are going to be better speakers. The second is we will learn strategies on how to captivate an audience. The third, we would craft a spirit of storytelling. The world of speaking and presentations are changing. When you enter the boardroom, although you are delivering the speech, you are telling us about the numbers, you need to be able to include or inculcate a few stories in there. So we would learn a few ways of crafting a spirit of storytelling. And last but not least, we are women in a very complicated sector. And complicated, I mean STEM. We are saying prototype, we are saying asteroids, we are saying so many things. We would learn that how do we simplify these complex terms, these complex ideas for other people who are listening to our presentation, who are not in the same STEM space, to better understand what we are doing or saying. Persuasive communication is speaking to someone or telling someone a story that is going to let the person have your buy-in. And as individuals, as professionals, it's very important that we cultivate the habit of persuasively communicating to people. This is why it helps us to be able to influence others, and it helps people to also have your buy-in. Now, persuasive communication has three strategies: ethos, pathos, and logos. Ethos is the act of appealing to the audience's authority as a form of persuasion. And here you notice that I put person. With ethos, it is more of the person who is giving the presentation, the authority the person has to give that presentation. With pathos is the act of evoking emotions. And I was using my mom as an example. Currently, we are facing a challenge at home, and she feels like I'm seeing somebody. That's one of the reasons why I come back from work home to home late. Rather, so she's telling me that my elder sister brought her boyfriend home. Why don't I want to bring somebody home or come and introduce the person to her if I know I'm seeing somebody? But genuinely, the conversation is I stay back at home, I stay back in the office to finish up a few applications. My mom this is what she's doing. She's evoking my emotions. She's speaking to my emotions so that I will feel pity for myself by thinking that, oh, my sister brought people home, or my sister brought her boyfriends home. So I also need to bring the person I'm seeing home. Pathos is act of speaking to the person's emotions so the person can feel very chill, the person can be happy, the person can be angry, the person can be overly excited, and then the person can buy into whatever you are saying. Logos is the act of appealing to the logic of an audience. And here you would see the message. The message you are saying to somebody can't have the person buy into what you are saying. And here we say, whatever you are speaking to the person, whether you are speaking research, whether you are speaking biology, whether you are speaking social science, whatever you are saying has the power to be able to persuasively communicate to the person. And these are the three ways to have persuasive communication. Now, overcoming stage fright, I say that we are on a journey to overcoming stage fright. If perhaps you see me speaking and you feel I am very confident, I have mastered the art of public speaking, a year or 2 years ago, I wasn't this confident in my speaking. I wasn't this loud or very confident in how I speak. It's been a growth process. It's been a journey. So even on this call, if you are not leaving with anything, I want you to leave that overcoming the fear or overcoming stage fright is a journey. The Barack Obamas, Michelle Obama, Nanaba Namoas, even if you call them to give a speech or to say something right now, there's going to be a bit jitteriness or nervousness in them, but it's not going to be very loud. And they just didn't start from where they are. So you have to get it at the back of your mind that overcoming the fear of public speaking or your presentation skills is a whole journey. And these are a few things you can to take from today's conversation as much as possible that you cultivate. I was sad when Margaret said the masterclass was going to be online. Although the online space is a good space, it makes us hide. Like I'm hiding behind my camera now. I'm not seeing who is seeing me. I'm not knowing who is knowing me, who is seeing me, that kind of thing. So if you're cultivating or overcoming stage fright, try as much as possible that you build that skill by speaking to people in person. You're able to hold and hone that skill better than in the virtual space. And you need to focus on your audience. Don't think about what I'm saying. Hey, are my sentences well constructed? Is my lipstick okay? Is my boy looking good? Are my nails perfect? Focus on the people you are speaking to. And there's a principle that says, find someone in an audience and look at the person's forehead and be smiling. If that's what works for you, that's fine. But try as much as possible to fix your attention on the people you are speaking to. Speak to the audience, focus on your audience. The second thing you can do is to prepare your presentation. And by preparing your presentation, I have captivating visuals, especially in a virtual space like this. Somebody can even be in the salon listening to you. Somebody can be lying on his or her bed listening to you. You need to prepare your presentation by having captivating visuals, by having preparing very well, researching, reading in and outside of it. And in our classrooms, in our lecture halls, even if a lecturer gives you some time or gives you an assignment and asks that you present in class, he or she is going to give you some time that you are supposed to present the assignment next week Friday. So you have from maybe today till next week Friday to prepare. And while you prepare your PowerPoint slides, if you feel like you need to create a Word document with a well-detailed or a detailed explanation of whatever you are going to study or whatever you are going to present, do it. Prepare your presentations in ways that makes you comfortable and confident. And in preparing, you need to practice, practice, practice. Practice should be at the back of your mind, especially if you are overcoming the fear. For some people, they can just walk into an audience and start giving, killing it as. But if you are some of us and you want to overcome, you are nervous, you are shaking, your hands are sweating, you need to practice. Your mirror needs to be your friend. The voice recorder on your phone needs to be your friend. The chairs in your living room needs to be your friend. Your bedroom needs to be your friend. You speak, you practice whatever you are going to present. You practice, you practice, you practice. And then there is prep. You point, your reason, example, and your point. So I'm saying that focus on your audience. That is my point. Now, why do you need to focus on your audience? You need to focus on your audience because the message is for them. Whatever point you state, you need to say that, why am I saying this point? And in addition to that, you add an example. One of the things at the latter part of this conversation we are going to have is storytelling. And in storytelling, I tell you that make it personal. It is your journey. It is yours. You know what you have been through. You know what you're coming to tell us. So in stating the point and adding the reason, try as much as possible to add an example. Even if it is not yours, you could have had a conversation somewhere, a love story, something that happened in your STEM class, something that happened. Just bring it up and add it to that point that you are seeing. It makes the people better connect with you. It makes the people better understand and, okay, I can relate to this story. That was when I was in junior high school. There was this boy who was a game. It makes people better relate and you are all at par on the same story. Now, you also have to make it personal. Whatever presentation that you are going to give, whatever speech you are going to give, you need to own it. You need to make it yours. This is mine. It is my group work. It is my class assignment. This is my thesis. This is my end of semester report. It is my end of quarter report. I'm going to deliver. Make it personal. Add your flares, however you want to deliver it. Make it ways. And these are how you can overcome the fear of public speaking or overcome stage fright. Don't forget, we go back to say that we are on a journey. It's not a one-day process. By and by, bet you I have forgotten my lines on stage before and I didn't know what to say. I just said I have forgotten my lines. Mind you, it was so embarrassing, but at the end of the day, even the boldness to tell the audience that I had forgotten my lines, I had people clapping for me. I don't know why I do, but it's not a one day story. Now, currently we are in a dispensation where storytelling is a very important aspect of presentations, a very important aspect of communication. You need to be able to tell a story. You need to be able to make it personal to the people. And in telling a story, first of all, you need to be able to reflect and meditate. Stories are part of your personal journey. They are part of what you have been through. So you need to be able to relax for some time, think about it. What was this about? What did this happen? How did this happen? Have I been through such a situation? Have I been at this particular place in life? Have I done this? Have I not done this? If you reflect and you meditate, even if you have not experienced what the topic is about, or even if you have not done what the topic is telling you to do, you may find something or you'll be able to connect a few dots together to be able to come up with something. And in telling a story, you need to be able to understand the narrative and the learning objective of your presentation, And for instance, there are certain things you can't necessarily add personal stories, like maybe giving a presentation, defending your thesis in STEM. But if you study the narrative or whatever, if you study the narrative of the learning objective or study the narrative of what you are delivering on, it gives you a fair idea that, okay, this audience, they need this, they need that. And then I can share this story, I can share this story, I can share that. But most importantly, don't forget that it also boils back to reflection and meditation. Now, in making it personal, this is one of the reasons why you need to, storytelling is important and you need to make it personal. Now, if you make it personal, the people listening to you can be able to very much relate to it. Like the story I said with my mom, saying that I'm staying home, I'm staying at work quite late and returning home late. It's just, I'm sure, one of those things where we have with our mothers as young women, one of those conversations or challenges we have with our mothers. It makes people better understand your conversation. It makes them be able to relate, and you're able to elicit actions from them. Now, this is a very important point in communication or presentation, that if you are presenting, it's because it's a virtual space, so I can have the access to see how you are reacting. But if you are telling a very beautiful story, or if you are telling a story, you see the audience's reactions. You see the people, those who are laughing, those who are giggling, depending on the story you're telling. If it's an emotional story, you see those who are very much fixated, that all their attention is on you because nobody wants to miss a bit of what you are presenting. So if you make it personal, if you're vulnerable and straight from your heart, it makes people relate very much to you in the context of storytelling. And then there's frame characters, where I was saying that in junior high school, when you take your end of term composition, you would see, write a letter to the Minister of Education telling him that in the first place, the whole letter or the question itself is framed. What you're going to write on that paper is equally free. You have to come up with a name, come up with a story, come up with challenges, solutions that your school, other things are facing, to be able to tell them, or to be able to write. And that's the same thing with storytelling. And you need to be able to frame characters. You need to be able to bring up Kofi Ama into the people. Like, let's just say I'm sharing a challenge I met at work. It could not be directly coherent, but I can frame certain things and say my boss and I are having certain hitches here and there. You need to be able to frame characters and bring certain things also into being. Now, we work in a space where, or we are in STEM, we are in STEM, an environment or a space where we have a lot of complex things or complex terms. We have prototypes, we have asteroids, so many of those things. If you are delivering a presentation, if you are delivering a speech, how do you break these ideas, these words down for the layman in the audience to also understand? Now, the first of all is to use metaphors, similes, imageries, tools, analogies, and examples. As president of my Toastmasters Club, and mind you, I hand over as Toastmasters president next week. Apparently, I should have handed over. The Toastmasters calendar year ends in June 30th. I should have handed over. So maybe in your next conversation with me, you won't hear my name as president of Joe Lartey Toastmasters again. If I have new members joining my club, or I have new members joining the meeting that day, and I'm explaining certain Toastmasters terms, I do this in two ways. I say it in the Toastmasters term, then I explain it in the local parlance, like in English, but then I try to lay it over, because if I tell you that there's going to be a table topics contest and I'm going to be the contest chair, if you are not a Toastmaster, you are not going to clearly understand, or if you have not been in a Toastmasters community or in a Toastmasters meeting, you won't really understand what a contest chair or a contest is. So I tell you that just like we have competitions in school, in Toastmasters, we also have competitions. And we have two different competitions coming up. The first is evaluation and table topics. Evaluation is, in Toastmasters, we do a lot of evaluations when you come on, whatever speech or whatever presentation you make, we evaluate you. Evaluation means we mark your speech. So we are going to have a contest where people are going to mark a speaker. This is better relatable to somebody who has just walked into a Toastmasters meeting for the first time, because the person knows that, okay, this is it. Or I try to say, if I'm explaining the structure in a Toastmasters club, I say, how many of you here attend a Pentecostal or a Methodist church? You see the way a number of churches put together are called like a circuit or a diocese. That's how it is in Toastmasters. If you have a number of clubs, we call us an area. If a number of areas come together, we call them this. That way, the person is able to understand. You use examples, you use tools, you use analogies, metaphors, things that are similar, things that are equally similar to what you are explaining. And for us, it'd be just a bit difficult trying to bring science to the basics, saying that how is the digestive system, how is it breaking down? It's quite difficult to be able to do it sometimes, looking at the STEM environment, but it's not that difficult. If you're able to break it down simply, you can be able to use metaphors, similes, and other tools to break it down. Now, the use of visual aids as well. Very much in our lecture halls, whatever presentation you are giving, if it's a complex topic, you can put a picture, a microphone, a breakdown, the rectum, digestive breakdown, respiratory, the esophagus, whatever it is. If there are visual aids, the person is seeing that, okay, this is how it is. It moves from here to this side, to the left, then to the right, then it comes down. It makes the person grasp the idea faster instead of just explaining, and there are no visual aids. So if you want to break a very complex idea into simpler form, there should be some form of visual aids to be able to say, this is it. You start from here, and when respiratory starting, it starts from here, it goes down, then to the left, then it comes down to the right, it goes behind, then finally it ends here. If the person is seeing, he or she is able to better understand and grasp whatever complex thing you are saying. And last but not least is storytelling. It's also a very important aspect of breaking complex ideas. You tell a story. When I was in school, my public speaking journey wasn't like this. I was very shy to speak in front of people. I was very timid. I was very less confident. I didn't even want to open my mouth. I didn't want to speak. Anytime I was speaking, I was like, but then I heard about Toastmasters, or I heard about this public speaking something, and I decided to be part of it. I decided to join. And as time went on, that is how you tell a story. You tell a story about how, for instance, you were doing sociology, or you were very much versed in sociology, and something found you, and then you are now in STEM, and you are advocating for women in STEM. You are advocating for more women to come in the STEM industry. You tell a story to the young people to say that my STEM journey hasn't been like this. There was a time my parents couldn't afford my fees, this and this and this. It helps them to be, it helps you break that complex idea. If you're looking at the narrative, don't forget that the narrative of the conversation you're having, or the narrative of the session you're having, needs to be in question. So that is what is going to form the story that you are going to say. But if a story is included, it makes breaking your idea or your complex idea very much simpler. The last but not least conversation we are having tonight is, I want you to see, I don't know if you can see my face, but I want you to see something. My hand like this, being together. If it's together like this, and I want to, let's say, bring this, it's not possible. This can't come in. But if there's space, if I open it up and there's space, I can be able to have this enter. I can be able to do this. That's the power of networking. I'm very sure we have heard it more often than not, that networking, like your network is your net worth. We are women in STEM. We are young people who are young women who are growing in the STEM industry. But it's very much important, or it will be very much important, that we open our fists and we allow other people also into our lives or also into our network, and that we grow beyond the STEM industry. We grow, we find friends in human resource, we find friends in research, we find friends in sociology, we find friends in broadcast news journalism, we find friends everywhere, and we create a pool of network. This also helps us to grow and then to learn as individuals and to grow as professionals. On this note, on networking and expanding what we do as young people and as young women in STEM, I would end my presentation. The floor is open to questions, opinions, contributions, suggestion, whatever I will be. I am open to it.